All right. Wisdom, thank you for being in connection with us.
Yeah, thanks.
Pleasure. Pleasure's mine.
Well, I mean, we can definitely share the pleasure. I think that's super.
Really?
I I heard while I was grabbing myself some wine, you guys were talking about education, and
Right.
I heard the word AI. Catch me up. What I miss?
Yeah. So, one of my interests is education and AI, and particularly the ethical use of AI. And also, I'm curious about any potential long term effects of AI overuse, right?
Mhm.
Where, like, there's a sense of AI taking the cognitive load off of us, right? But what does that do to us long term wise and memory wise, right? Even autocorrect on my phone, like I'm forgetting how to spell words, It's insane. So I'm wondering what the potential of that could be. Like AI is so new. I think like just 5 years ago, it wasn't even like on anyone's radar and how quickly it's advanced. I know when I first started taking, 'cause I'm in a PhD program. When I first started taking the program, there was an AI course and I just, out of curiosity took it. Um, and it was a very revealing. And I know that we were doing some what's termed today as vibe coding, where you use AI to
Mhm.
generate code for you. And that was back in 2022, and the code was terrible. Like there were like bugs everywhere. Nothing worked. Like you had to like go back and forth. You really had to fight with ChatGPT at that time to like get what you wanted. I feel like that's less of a problem now, just like 3 years later.
Yes.
And it's insane how quickly that's just like accelerated. And so it's evolving very rapidly. It's disrupting education, right? And so now that we're at this juncture, at this point, we're having to retrain educators, right, to cope with this new AI thing, and that can look kind of different for some educators. Some of them pick it up very easily, others are a little slower at picking it up. But for the most part, I was working with a couple of professors, and they told me we're in a foot race now with the students. Trying to learn as much as we can about this AI, and I mean, to the credit of my university, they're pretty open to using it so long as you're transparent about it and so long as you do most of your own work, most of your own thinking rather than offloading it to chat, right? So, critically thinking about information, sources of information is a very important part of education. And it's something that I think should be developed, especially during the age of AI. One of the dangers is just believing AI without questioning it, like, hey AI, you ask it like some silly question, right? Like, like what's the distance to the moon or something, and then it gives you some figure and you're like, okay, that's the distance to the moon because ChatGPT told me, right? Like so things like that. I'm curious what your experience has been.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So we're like professional buddies, wisdom.
Yeah.
I teach in art school, so I teach teachers. So I also do trainings about didactics for high school teachers. So I am also amazed by the rapid development and also by the rapid adaptation of high schoolers using AI for every homework assignment there is. And then sometimes the not knowing of the teachers, or they're only guessing and not acting as sharp as I would love them to be in designing their education differently, because you need to do that. You need to do things differently and think about what are your goals when teaching, and how can students actually work on those goals in your classroom, but also at home. And if you are very okay with them using AI, then it's part of the curriculum to also teach them how to, what you said, how to think critically about AI and with AI. So, and also if you like give them an assignment they can do at home, for sure they will do it with AI. But then in the classroom, you can check the homework that's done, or you can check, hey, is the thinking that I need them to do, is that there? And you can like have them do the thinking again in your classroom and show they were the one doing the thinking, because that is exactly what happens when you offload your cognitive tasks to AI. You offload the thinking, and the one who does the thinking does the learning. So that's Yeah, that's something that's very important, and teachers need to be aware. Yeah, I'm sort of in the dark. I don't have a curriculum myself to how to do that, but I'm like right now looking at some things that are quickly developed, like knowledge bases on how to train teachers, how to what kind of aspects there are to be learned about AI that you actually need teachers to have in their knowledge base to work with AI. So yeah, lots of questions and rapid development. I'm on the same page as you.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me because I talked at a conference in Champagne or yeah Champagne, and I talked to a couple of educators, and amongst one of them was an English teacher. And what she said that she noticed the most is a sort of homogenization of the work. Like it all looked the same. Like all of her students suddenly just lost their individual voices and it became very vanilla, like
Hmm.
uniqueness in their voice, their word usages, because everyone, as a writer, myself, like there's some favorite words that we have, right? Or some crutch words that we like to use. Those sort of disappear and they just kind of melt into the ether of the output, right? And so they found that when you're teaching, it becomes less about the output, less about the deliverables, and more about the journey of learning.
Yes.
And so when you're there with the students, talking to them, in discussion, picking their brains and seeing, okay, are you getting this? It's a little more productive. And then also in conjunction with that, like you have like oral exams, like, testing on the spot where there's no screens or anything
Yeah.
involved. That helps a lot. Or like,
Until all the kids have a neural link, and then you
there you
can't
go.
even know.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
What screen?
until we reach that point, which I mean, who knows how long that will be. I mean, I think I saw something the other day. It was like somebody connecting to Neuralink and it's like, okay, this is happening. It's happening rapidly, faster than anyone thought. I mean, this year I think we can expect to see maybe some robots, unless I'm mistaken, just walking the streets. Like we're already seeing drones deliver packages and stuff. And so I'm wondering when the robots are just going to be everywhere, And it's going to be very sort of sci-fi, the iRobots, somebody in class mentioned the iRobot the other day. And in the class, they played a video and it was very AI doomer, got the AI doomer vibes, which, one of the most fascinating aspects of this is how people react, like how humanity reacts, right? And it seems like there's like a wide spectrum that people reach. Me, I'm sort of like on a pendulum, like, I'm like swinging between positive and negative, but I try to remain as objective as possible. And I try to ask questions rather than be reactionary. And so to me, the greatest part about being an educator is when you're on that path for knowledge, right? That insatiable curiosity. You think you want answers, but what I've found is it's better to find questions, right? So when you're on that journey, finding the right questions becomes more important. Like, what are the questions to ask, And that takes a lot of research actually to get to the right questions. And so in the beginning of the journey, you're sort of in Plato's cave, you're like fumbling around in the dark. But after a while, you start filling things out, right? You're like, oh, okay, I remember this part of the wall, this rough rock here. And then you start from there making some progress. And I would explain my research like that. In the beginning, when I was doing my research, there wasn't a lot about AI, right? And everyone was sort of fumbling around in the dark. Like it was just like this great wave that had hit academia, right? Like, and nobody really knew what to do about it. But now I'm seeing a lot more papers on it, so that's great. Academic research papers, so that's great. I just submitted one for publication, and hopefully the first one got rejected. When you're writing and you're
Hmm.
doing academic papers, you get rejected a lot. But you just want that one win, so you just keep chipping away at it.
What's the
And
subject
the
of your
subject is
paper?
the ethical use of AI in education. So a lot
Perfect.
of
Yeah.
in line of what we've been talking about here. It's fascinating because when I wrote it, like ChatGPT had just like barely did 4.0, which is the multimodal sort of functionality of it all. And what's fascinating is it's so interdisciplinary, right? Like there's so many people who can benefit from AI, like especially in STEM in the medical field. They're just killing it with AI and the robots and like But there's others like second language learners, for instance, that can benefit from like the translation capabilities of AI. And I know in the beginning, like back in 2022, the teachers were very like reactionary, and they were like, stop using stop using AI for your papers, not knowing that a lot of the second language learners were using Grammarly, and Grammarly is AI, right? To tighten their grammar because speaking another language and writing in another language at an academic level is difficult, right? And so I had some second language learners come up to me and say, "Oh, I had a professor tell me use Grammarly." So you have these sort of, one professor use Grammarly, the other professor don't use Grammarly, and so they're kind of in a rock and a hard place, the students. But it's been, I know, to the credit of many of the professors and universities, they've taken it on because they realize how important it's going to be to the job market, right? Like AI is already taking people's jobs, which is unfortunate, but there's definitely a need to reskill or at least add AI, some sort of AI component into the education system and into as it people adopt it into the job market, right? But we're still sort of in this early age where AI has limitations, and the people who have real life experience, like 30 plus years of experience, are still relevant. We still need them. They their 30 plus years of experience with AI, like layered together, is they're unstoppable. And so, like, I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. It's been fascinating to watch. Like, we are in unprecedented times for sure. I don't know. I'm curious what your experience has been or your thoughts.
Well, first of all, I think it's awesome what you're doing and doing those articles and researching it. It's very necessary. So that's, yeah, I'm curious. I would love to read the paper you submitted. So,
Yeah, I'll send
yeah,
you a copy.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, most of what I'm talking about right now is in the paper.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's been a fascinating journey to me because I've always had like this insatiable curiosity, and I've always loved science fiction, and so it's just kind of, I guess, fitting that my research would marry the two together, and it's been just the most amazing journey. So I'm just trying to grab resources wherever I can. Um, X is a great resource. There's a lot of amazing people on X.
yes, yeah,
Sierra and her whole group, like they're
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
And I've learned so much from them. I think really, to understand this, we need people from different disciplines to kind of come together and have that conversation together about, okay, this is what's happening in my sector, or this is what's happening. And I'm beginning to see like that's just like how my mind works. Like our minds, we recognize patterns, right? We're pattern recognizers. That's what our brain does. And so, like, I sort of see the same patterns in every industry regarding AI. And it was really interesting because I did English. I have a bachelor's in English. Then I did music. And now I had a bachelor's in music. Then I got my master's. Now I'm in the PhD. I'm just like a glutton for punishment, right? There's people I think who have given up on the education system, but I'm like still one of the ones like we have to fight for it, right? Like we have to make it ours. Like
yeah,
mold it,
beautiful.
mold it so that it helps the people who are out there and want to learn. Let's fight for education. Let's not just give up on it. Because it's such an important part of humanity, right? It's how we grow. We need learning, we need education, we need mentors, we need people to show us, hey, this is what I did wrong. Don't do this. Instead, you can go down this other path that's going to help you out, and that's how we sort of leapfrog to the and how we help the next generation and how we give to them, right? So for me, education is so important in that aspect.
Yeah, and I think it's lovely that you say like the process is now more of an importance in education. We cannot look at only the products our students produce. We need to really get a grasp of the process and guide the students there. And I think that's actually very important and a very awesome thing we can develop now in education. looking at that. And like if you're like, we're both from the arts also, you from music, I'm from visual arts, and there for us it's already apparent that the process is of the highest importance, and that you need to like nurture being in that process. Like, of course, products are important, and you want to be successful in the things you make and the things you do, and the richness of the process leads to the richness of the product. So, and I think what changes right now with AI is that we need to rethink education more and more in how we actually want to help children, learners, and deal with the world that is coming, and it's coming fast. And it's interesting because like then other things get more and more important, I think. And it's more of thoughts like what it is to be human, and what are the qualities we as a human need to hold on to and nurture and foster. And I think, yeah, I don't know, what do you think?
Well, first things first, I'm thoroughly tipsy now, so mission accomplished. That's what happens when you go for wine
What?
instead of water. Um,
You want some water?
I'll get some in a bit.
I get concerned here.
Why are you concerned? I'm a responsible adult whining. This is my favorite way to whine.
Whining, I love it.
Thank you. So, first, I love where your mind is at in regards to valuing education. The way that you define education is so on point in my mind. And it's for me feels heart centric because you are valuing the process and the experience, and I think that is that's what it's always been about. But the more we advance technologically, the more it gets clarified and like separated, like the robotic things that we used to be both rewarded for and also we needed to do. We needed to do a lot of like robotic things, both physically and cognitive. Those things are getting, in a sense, like separated from us so that they're getting outsourced to digital and robotic intelligence, essentially. And so all that's left in terms of the human experience is the human experience.
Yeah.
So I love that you're focused there because I think that is the future. That's been the past and the present, but certainly in a very vivid way. The only way to have a high quality experience as humans is to put that in the front and center of what education and just being human is about.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, well said. Yeah, that's definitely something that I've realized also is all of this AI technology advancement has really made me appreciate humanity more, right? And really made me value authentic connections and conversations. Whereas before I took them for granted, just passing by somebody waiting in line, saying hi to them, like hearing a little bit about their life and their story. I appreciate that so much more now. Before it was just like a casual thing, like, you almost expected it. But now you almost don't expect it anymore. You almost expect them to be just glued to their phone. And so when you have just that simple little, hey, how are you? Like it really means more now. And I think you're so on point with that. Humanity, the experience that we have becomes elevated, right? And it becomes front and center. And so, yeah, in education, the art or the act of learning, when you're like really struggling with something and I can't get it, and somebody comes in and they kind of guide you a little bit, and then they have that aha moment, right? It's so rewarding, like as a teacher, as an educator, like even as a learner, like you like yearn for those aha moments, right? Like, or those like eureka moments, right? Where you just find that you get it. It just clicks. And so those little human things, right? Those are very human things. And that's part of what I love about teaching is helping somebody break through, right? Helping somebody understand. Um and not from like my way, from their way, right? Like from their perspective, from their experience, from their struggles, just sort of helping to facilitate that. And because I don't as an educator, I don't like to shoehorn people, right? Like I like to help them discover their own path.
Shoehorn?
What is shoehorn?
What's that? Oh, shoehorn.
Shoehorn?
Yeah, sorry, is that a new term for you guys?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So shoehorn, like, back in the day, they used to have these the fancy shoes, right? And they were very hard. So there was like a little, like a little scoop that they would,
Right.
insert and then
Yeah.
Yes.
put their
Yeah.
foot inside the shoe. And so people use it, in the American culture to sort of like insert yourself into a process or a situation or force something, right? Like you force something to happen. So it's used in that context. Is that, am I clear or no?
I think so, I think so. Okay,
Okay.
cool. So you're saying in education, you don't wanna shoehorn yourself.
Right.
You wanna focus on their experience and them connecting with whatever the material is themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have to fight very hard because sometimes when they're in the process of learning, you'll find that your way doesn't work for them, Like the way that you understand the material is not the way that they understand the material, you know? And sometimes you'll have to adapt and pivot and try to attack it from a different perspective. And because there's what I love about humanity is we think so differently, and we experience the world so differently. And there's no one size fits all. And so like me, I have very much like the engineer's mind, Like I'm very logical and I'm very stepwise, and I like to break things into manageable steps that I can conquer that, and then the next logical step, move from there. But not
Some
everyone,
teacher skills, by the way.
yeah. So not everybody thinks that way, right? Sometimes they need something a little more natural and organic, and so it's fascinating to me to watch them because every student is a puzzle, in and of themselves, and I think that's a rewarding thing as an educator is to.
Yeah, I really I understand. What I try to do when teaching is also really look what is awesome and special about this person I have in front of me. And sometimes it's hard because you have like a whole classroom, but it's like it's so rewarding because you sometimes also see the relief and the relaxation on the faces of your students that, "Oh, wow, okay, I can bring myself to this classroom. I don't have to deny parts of myself. I am okay." So, and it's sad that that sometimes wasn't their experience upon like these encounters I have with them. But it's that's this the reality in education sometimes that students think they have to abandon some parts of themselves to fit in and to comply. For me, it's such a lovely thing to do to relax them and see, hey, whatever we're going through and whatever you need to learn here, where you're at right now is very, very okay. And we're gonna start there. And then I am gonna support you to get to B. And there are different roads. And that's not to say that I have like a student by student individual approach, but like I love to teach to whole classrooms. But like where you can like nudge or nod or like um yeah acknowledge that, hey, what you bring to the table is unique and awesome. And we're gonna let the beautiful thing that is there grow and grow and grow because that is what we're doing here in education.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so lovely and so well said. Just the simple act of acknowledgement, right? Like I acknowledge what you're going through. That does so much for people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's fascinating as we're going through this, how the human element is elevated, right? And becoming so important, as you guys have said. And you have these beautiful moments. And I think, like as Serena said, that's the future, right? The future is humanity, right? If humanity's not in the picture, we're doing it wrong, right? And because it's all about the next generation, right? Like setting them up so that they're going to be okay. Um, and we have to like we're the guards, right? We're the people on the watchtower, right? We have to do our part to ensure that happens and that the next generation doesn't get steamrolled. And so for me, my approach is digging into the research a little bit more or a lot more in the coming future and trying to provide some real data, trying to find how this is really affecting people and how what we can do about it to either improve the situation or mitigate any potential risks that there are. I think there's some people who have been pretty critical about how the big tech people have approached releasing AI, right? They've just sort of gone full, right? And there's always casualties, which are really unfortunate. And it was, some people liken it to the Industrial Revolution, right? and the horror that happened with the child workers and things like that. I think we're seeing a little of that, which is disheartening to say the least. I don't think AI as it stands now is safe for children, and I'm not a parent myself, but if I were, I would discourage usage, right? Certainly without my purview, right? And I would just encourage them to question the output thoroughly, right? Thoroughly question it and not accept it on face value. Again, that the critical thinking skills, right? So important.
But wisdom, would you say, I totally agree in an absolute sense that AI is not safe, especially for kids, in a total absolute sense, right? It's not 100% safe. But neither is a human teacher. I would strongly advise kids also to be like, hey, any human that talks to you, question everything.
Right.
That'd be great. So it's just a comparative thing. I think definitely the questioning has to be built in for sure. And even if you have the safest thing, if you're not questioning, then are you even sentient?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, even teachers, right? Like, there's all the news everywhere, right? Yeah, it's safeguarding children is so important. Questioning everything is very important. Like building that in, that sort of skeptical position early on. And it keeps you safe, right? Unfortunately, we live in a pretty chaotic place.
Jungle.
It's a jungle, and you have to do your best. And you have to protect your children. Instilling this skeptic, right, is sort of like a sort of policeman's mentality, right? Where you see the world through a different lens rather than being a lamb among wolves, right? You can sort of instill these tools whereby you can question the person. Are you a lamb or are you a wolf, right? Like just that knowledge in and of itself is very important. Like are you a friend or foe, right? And that's a very great point too, Serena. So yeah, I like that's another quality that I would say is more like you can apply it to many different facets of your life, That question, always ask questions. I think that's valid. Yeah. Well said.
Thanks. Yeah, because I know a lot of people pick at AI for hallucinating, but then I look at them like, come on, come on. Like, it's like calling what's the expression? The pot calling the kettle black. Like,
Yeah.
it's like we're human. We're like the most hallucinating things ever.
Yeah,
Like
surely.
most of what we call vision is a hallucination, our brain's best guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a that's a great point also. I mean, you can say that like, our brain is in this black box, right? And we're just getting input from our eyes, our senses, right? But are we really seeing the world around us? Are we really experiencing it? Like, I mean, there are frequencies of sound that the human ear can't perceive, the frequencies of light that we can't see. There's so much more to the universe around us than we are capable of processing. Like, that's a little terrifying to think about, but it's humbling,
Yeah.
and it really it, it changes your perspective, right? But yeah, that's valid. So yeah, sometimes I can be a little critical of AI and technology, and so sometimes I have to take a step back and just kind of reevaluate. So I'm always trying to reflect, right? And I think that's an important thing to do, especially when you're confused about something or you're presented with new information. You're always sort of readjusting, realigning, right? And say, oh, okay, this last thing that I said or thought or believed was based on old information. Now I have new information. How does that change the equation, right? And then you always try to look for some sort of factual basis, like, okay, well, now we have more information. And so now this newer study is the way to go, right? But yeah, humanity itself, yeah, we have our flaws, right? That's certainly the case. And so if you think about it, like we're the ones building AI with all of our flaws, how much of that's going to get carried over? Right. And I think that's a fear. It's been a fear of many sci-fi writers for like decades, and Terminator, all of that.
Terminator, Matrix.
It's on the table, and that's scary, right?
Yeah, we're living the sci-fi right now.
That's
That's what
right.
it feels like sometimes.
Yeah, it used to be science fiction to just plug into a computer. Not anymore. It's science fact. I think I saw a post on X the other day. We're running out of science fiction. Like it's all becoming fact, and that's interesting, right? Yeah, it makes you puzzle things a bit as we're going through this. Like I like sci-fi, I love it. I also write sci-fi. I haven't published anything yet. I'm still working on it, but it's something that has always fascinated me. And it's just a technology, right? Like as a species, if you want to go there, like what it's done for us, and how we've been able to change and adapt to environments. Like we used to be wanderers, right? Chasing the food. And then we started farming, right? And inventions and things of that came, and we started, farming more stuff and providing for bigger communities. We were able to be more stationary. And so technology helps humanity evolve in that aspect. And so it's fascinating as we're going through this. I don't know. I'm curious what more thoughts you guys have.
Yeah, I think like as a human we need to like think critically about technology, and as it evolves that quickly, we're sort of overwhelmed and like sussed, hey, what is this and what is happening? But what you're saying, Serena, is um we always need to be thinking critically also about how we are as humans. And maybe this rapid change in technology is a big mirror. Like there in technology we see, wow, what is happening, and like things are concerning and dangerous. But like what you're saying is actually, hey, what I always I think like looking at us as a human, it was always there. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting yeah, view, like technology and then our humanness.
Yeah, for sure. People go like, "Is the AI safe?" I'm like, "Dude, are you safe? Like,
Right on. Yeah.
show me a safe human." Like, give it that level of, like, power that, like, 'cause essentially with AI, you have a singular neural net, right? Like, essentially, like, it's not exactly a brain, but kind of, that doesn't age, doesn't experience time, forever. And it's, like, accessible to virtually all humans at the same time, able to learn from all sensors at the same time. I know not currently, it has, like, a finite bank of, like, training data, but eventually it can become something that can learn in real time from all sensors, and we have a lot of sensors
Right. Yeah.
and growing. So it's like safety is a very, it's a very, very high bar to achieve just because of the extent of power that's involved. If you limit the power to like a singular human like myself, where I have very finite ability to influence anything, it's like, well, I'm pretty safe. I'm pretty harmless, right? But like, give me that kind of power and I will guarantee you, I will fuck so many things up. It will be unimaginable. We will go extinct so quickly.
Yeah, that's fascinating, and it makes me think like, more to your question, like, the people who criticize AI, like, is AI safe? And then the human, are you safe? That's a great question. In defense of that, humans, we have a short time on this earth. Like we die, right? Like even the unsafe ones, like they're going to die at some point. Um, yeah. AI, however, is probably going to still be alive. So what's that going to look like for the next generations, right? Like, yeah, that dangerous human died. Oh, but that dangerous AI is still around, influenced by that dangerous human. It's a fascinating conundrum. It's a little paradoxical to think about it. I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into the rabbit hole because I'm chasing rabbits all day. So,
We like rabbits.
you like rabbits?
Follow the white rabbit. Let's go.
Neo? Yeah. Wake up, Neo. Yeah, it's unprecedented times for sure. Nobody saw this coming. Like when I was studying English and music, I didn't know that somebody'd be able to type something in 2 seconds and produce it. Right? To our credit, we're still relatively safe now. Oh, that's AI generated. Like an AI made that piece of music, or an AI made that piece of writing. I don't know. Like it's accelerated just in 3 years. Like is how long until it's virtually indistinguishable, right? From like a great writer, like Dostoevsky or Hemingway or somebody. You know what I mean? How long until it's producing that level, that quality, or will it ever be able to? Right? Some people will argue it will never be able to because it will never have genuine human experiences like we do, right? And so it'll never be able to create a beautiful work of art like we can. So I've heard that argument. It's fascinating to me because there's so many different aspects besides just the data aspect and the input output, sort of mechanical out. Um, there's the human quality, and they're trying to get back to that, right? The human quality and how important that is to all of this. I don't know. I feel that if you're trying to put like I don't know, some sort of word to it. Like I'm always searching for that word. Like some people put like the uncanny valley, right? When you experience the technology and it's so foreign to you, so alien to you. Like there's people like the younger kids. If you show them a song made by AI, they're like, "Oh, turn that off. It's like it's doing something weird to my ear." Like, or if you see those AI generated images, there's that weird blur and they don't get the hands right, and like it's like weird,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Yeah.
almost dreamlike or sometimes nightmarish.
Yeah. Or very cliche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Grok's gotten a little better with some of the stuff that it can make, but it's still kind of foreign to us because it's not human, right? It wasn't generated by a human, and you can sort of tell in like how it defies the physics of reality. Like my hands don't blend together, right? Like I don't have like three hands or something. You know what I mean? Like there's things like that. And you can also notice it in music, like, like, oh, the guitar can't play that pitch, like that's like too high for a guitar, and things of that nature that are sort of inherently known by us, by humans, but unknown to the AI. So I don't know. I'm curious if you like as an artist, like how those AI generated images strike you.
I think of it as being like all of that is like for now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. For now.
Like I remember where it was like a couple of years ago and where it is now. It's like my goodness. It's there I'm sure I have already been fooled by some AI images. I'm sure must have happened already.
Right. Yeah.
And like if people don't tell me, a lot of times if people don't tell me or like, make me play a game of like, hey, is this real or AI? I wouldn't even think twice. Be like, or whatever. Be like, her hands always look that way, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you could like, have a generated AI generated image of you in like Paris and like, hey guys, I'm in Paris right now. And people are like, oh my God, that's so amazing. How'd you get there? You know what I mean? Without you actually having been to Paris. Like yeah, that's happened and that's happening. Yeah. For now is if I was to if I was to like, yeah, for now is a great couple of words to put to it. For now. And here we are for now.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing that freaks me out a little bit in my mind, and by a little bit I mean a lot. I just choose not to think about it, so it only freaks me out a little. Is what happens when you get accurate video, accurate audio, accurate thought processes, and then I can't tell if you are real right now, right?
Right.
The only
Yeah.
reason I have a pretty good like belief that you're real is because I know the tech is not there yet. If the tech was, I would be like, I have no clue if that person is a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Could be
so
just
Yeah. We're
chatting with
going
an
there for
AI.
sure.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I think we're going into a world where we need to question everything we see, and it's inescapable.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, you could have been chatting with an AI this whole time, right?
well,
Yeah.
to be fair, it has been a very lovely AI, so we appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I trained it on my data. No, I'm just kidding. I gave it
Very
all my.
wise AI.
Yeah, it's here we are for now, right? Here we are for now. My my call to action is to observe, is to watch, and to question. Observe, watch, question, and I think if we're in this together, we'll be okay. Right? I like to end on like some sort of positive notes. Like I only mention sort of the negative aspects of it because it's important to have a fuller view of things. And my own opinions on it are still being formed, like daily. It's just every day you're just inundated with some new AI app that can do some new thing and it's almost hard to keep up with it all, right? And so like as some new feature rolls out, there's some new sets of pros and cons involved, right? And ethical questions, right? And so the law always follows. Technology goes first, the laws follow. Unfortunately, people have to be hurt before the laws come, right? And so how many people are going to get steamrolled by this is a legitimate question. It, that really sucks. I hope that we can get ahead of it a little bit and mitigate some of the fallout because it can be detrimental. And I feel like we're already sort of in this chaotic time as a society, right? It's pretty chaotic all over. Perhaps humanity's going through growing pains. I don't know, but I always try to extend an olive branch, and I always seek for some semblance of a peaceful moment, right? I always tell my students, just slow down, just slow down. They always want to like rush and go into it, but slowing down creates space to think. And that space is so valuable to think in your questioning, in your skepticism, right? When you encounter anything, any new stimuli, you meet a new person, slow down, right? Your relationship goes to the next level, slow down a bit. You know what I mean? And just kind of go from there. Trust your heart, trust your instincts, right? They're there for a reason, you know. I believe in that as an educator and as a person. My instincts have been spot on. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I mean, it's like I said, like my head is spinning like a million times a day. Like information, blah blah blah. And that can be a bit of a problem too because you're just inundated with so much information. You're sort of like locked in a stupor or like in some sort of trance, right? Just walking, trying to process it all. I'm curious if you guys have experienced that sort of like tech burnout or like information overload.
I think, like what you're saying to your students, you also need to say to yourself, then slow down and take time to work with what there is right now and make sense of it before you continue. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. You always say like, so there are things needed in this world, in these massive like exponential growth of AI. That is what we need to work on, and that's like more realness, more connection.
I say that? It's like,
Yeah,
sounds
humanity.
More
great.
fun.
Sounds great if I say that.
You did. Humanity first. Yeah. As we're going through this, and there's a very real concern for the future of humanity. There's the fertility crisis, things like that. The push to go to Mars, right? To try and expand, at least in our own solar system, right?
It'd be fun if we called it the birth of the fertility crisis.
Right. Yeah. It's a very ironic,
Birth of the fertility crisis.
right? I was like, wait a minute.
Many problems were born. None of them were human.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's insane, to think about it all. And you see these like artificial like birthing pods
Yeah,
and things like that. Like, is this where we're going?
probably, yeah.
It's very the Matrix, right? Very Neo. Um
Um,
Science fiction isn't science fiction anymore. That's interesting. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, right? Like the thought and the power that we have as human beings in our thoughts and in our words. When we imagine something and we put it to words, it then sort of becomes a reality, which is fascinating in and of itself. It's almost like we are co-creators, right? Like we're also creating a path. We're also creating a future. We're also there's something inherent in each of us that we want to create, right? We're creative species. We have to create. It's like this insatiable desire to create and to connect. And so it's interesting that we've created this.
yeah, yeah, and then slowing down on it, like slowing down and being very, very conscious about what is it then that we want to create right now in these times? What is needed right now? How can we prosper as humanity? I think these questions are super important. And I think sometimes like the creative people who are somewhat more in touch with like our creative powers and the powers we have are also there to like help us like be more conscious about what to create and why.
Yeah, exactly. I think that there's a bright future for creative people, especially as we move forward and AI becomes the norm for every job. It's fascinating to think like what the roles will be, what new jobs will be created, right? What new opportunities will there be for people from various backgrounds and disciplines. So yeah, like that creative energy is within us, right? And I think probably what most people sort of like have like a revulsion to or a response to in regards to AI is them sort of co-opting that creative drive, right, from humanity. But perhaps it's more like a mirror image, right, where we are creative and we've created something that also creates, so it's interesting. Although there have been people who have said, "Oh, AI doesn't create; it just steals from us and repurposes and just kind of stitches it all together." Which you can make that argument as well, right? Like it's not a creative force; it's a emulator, right? It emulates us, and that really we're the creative drive, we're the engine, we're the heart, right? So I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think of that.
On the thought of that AI doesn't create it, just stitches things together, I think it's a yet another case of the kettle calling the pot black. Like, that is as creatives, what we essentially do. It's the source materials we work with, whether it's in the visual art or the musical art or whatever form of creativity we have. The source materials are rarely ever new. It's the synthesis that the person using their vantage point, their vibe, the synthesis is new. So I think in that way, I've seen truly unique things come out of AI that I know I have never seen because it has not existed. One time, a friend of mine made me a song and it was so lovely. I listened to it so much. Like there were days when I was genuinely down and then I went and put that song on and it like brightened my heart. So like it like touched my soul. Like that being said, there is a combination of there is like the love of my friend that prompted that specific thing for me. So it's not exactly like as if the AI sourced the soul itself. That being said, it did channel the soul of my friend through a very well developed music engineering machine. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a great point. Nobody creates in a vacuum, right? We stand on the shoulders of giants, and so like we are influenced by our what we see and what we hear. A lot of my words come from my favorite writers. A lot of my music comes from my favorite yeah musician band people, right? Artists. Sorry, the word escaped me for a second, but it's like it, and then when you're learning, there's a part of that learning that's emulation, right? Like you're playing your favorite song, you're covering your favorite band, or you're like, writing according like in the style of Dickinson or something, right? Or Dickens or Shakespeare or somebody, right? Like you're trying to learn by doing, right? And yeah, that's a great point as well. Like we're not in a vacuum, right? We're here, we're stitching things together, we're synthesizing it differently. And what becomes more important is sort of like our perspective, right? Like we're sharing something, our experience through this sort of stitched together art. So that's a great point as well. And that even we can even do that through technology, right? Through AI, right? For a friend. Say like that making a song wasn't a skill that you had, suddenly that avenue is open to you. That's pretty thrilling, right? That's pretty great. And you can help your friend, cheer up your friend. That's amazing, right? I'm like I hate to be all critical and doom and gloom, but there's some really great potential for AI, and so I think maybe that's a good place. Like here we are for now, right?
Mhm.
Here we are for now, and it's our choice, right? Like what are we going to do with this? Let's do some amazing positive things, right? So yeah, like cheer up a friend. Yeah.
Beautiful. Cool. Yeah.
Well, Wisdom, thank you very much for being in connection with us. As AI does develop, human connection is certainly all the jazz. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciate you. And dude, I super resonate with where your mind is at and where your heart is at. I mean that so sincerely. There was at some point, I forget what you were saying. I'm so sorry for forgetting, but I remember that I felt like I was tearing up on the inside. I don't remember what it was, but it did touch me. So sorry
Yeah.
for forgetting. I'll blame
No
the wine.
worries. Yeah. Yeah. I pour my heart out. It's just what I do. And so often in spaces, I'll just share what's on my heart. And I'm so grateful. Like with Serena, like yeah, I've really connected with you as well. And yeah, I really like where your mind is and where your heart is. Just being able to thank you so much for having me on and for inviting me to this. This has been amazing. And yeah, looking forward to our future interactions and spaces and expos and um,
And future sessions of this, obviously.
of
This is
course,
round 1.
round one, of course. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, you as well.
Cool. I'll end it here, but don't leave the window
Yeah,
yet.
sure.